Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shanity Show. So, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, this is the February book tag for February 2026. This does have some slight overlap with my Valentine's Day book tag, which I've tagged or linked down below in the description. As usual with my book tags, I link the video and the inspo for the video down below. That's also down below in the description. I have added some of my own prompts to this, and I have noted that. I've noted the prompts that I created with a little asterisk. I've noted that down below in the description after the prompt section, but it's like the last 4 prompts of the book tag that I made for this. Again, they might not be super unique, but I wanted to add them in because most of the February book tags had so much overlap with Valentine's Day, and I wanted something more specific to February as a whole. But with all that said, let's get, is this year a leap year? Let's see, I'm gonna double check real quick. I don't remember. Oh, nope, it's not a leap year. Let's see when the next leap year is. Okay, just because I'm a little curious, when is the next leap year? The next leap year is in 2028, so we have another 2 years. Okay, we have another 2 years. Maybe I'll do a leap year book. I think leap year in 2028 lands on a Tuesday. So I'll do a leap year book tag for that year. Just remind me. Or actually, here, I'll make something up. Leap. One moment while I do that. Okay, I have that created. So like I was saying, I was trying to find something for February specifically. And there was one that I found, but a lot of it had overlap with my Valentine's Day book tag. Again, I've linked that down below in the description. So I've used some of those prompts, and then I added in some of my own prompts. So with all that said, let's get into this like close to 3 minutes in. The first prompt is shortest month of the year, a short story or collection of short stories more should read. For me, I feel like that's Never Whistle at Night. I feel like this is one that most people should try at the very least. I know it's not for everyone, it's not going to be for everyone, but I feel like everyone should give this one a shot. I was thinking about bringing up another anthology of short stories, but I'm trying not to talk about Disney too much. And at this point in time when I'm recording it, there hasn't been any real statement about standing up against the orange dictator in the White House, and you know, I'm talking about it less. And plus too, like with the price hikes recently, like snacks, I get it, like $50 to $1 price hikes, that's fine. 50 cent to $1 to a single dollar price hikes are okay. Makes sense. However, like some of the other price hikes, less so. Anyway, getting back on topic, Never Whistle at Night. Many indigenous people believe that one should never whistle at night. It can cause evil spirits to appear and even follow you home. These wholly original and shiver-inducing tales introduce readers to ghosts, curses, hauntings, monstrous creatures, complex family legacies, desperate deeds, and chilling acts of revenge. Introduced and contextualized by best-selling author Stephen Graham Jones, these stories are a celebration of indigenous peoples' survival and imagination, and a glorious reveling in all the things an ill-advised whistle might summon. So that's what this one is about, and I really enjoyed it. It's like some of them, I think overall I did really enjoy it, but I feel like for me, horror and anything that's like horror adjacent or murder mystery or mystery, like it's not the best genre for me in book formats, but this one I feel got the closest to giving me like the chills or like real scares. This one came the closest. So Never Whistle at Night, great book. The next prompt is Valentine's Day, favorite romance novel, and although I haven't finished it yet because I only have the first 4 volumes, I decided to go with The Apothecary Diaries. And the story is by Natsu Hyuga, the art is by Neko Kurage, and then it's compiled by Itsuki Nino, and then character design by Tokushino. And in this, you're following Momo, and she's kidnapped by these guys and taken to the inner palace, where she starts working as a servant, and then she ends up being enlisted as the poison tester, the taste tester for one of the highest ranking concubines. And honestly, I absolutely love the story so much. Like, again, I only had the first 4 volumes of the manga, but I feel like this is such a great romance. I talked about it in the Valentine's Day book tag, but it's just like, it's the right pace. They have the right amount of emotional maturity. They have emotional maturity, and it's the right amount for their ages and for the characters and their time period. And honestly, like, it's the right pacing for them as well. And like I mentioned it in my Valentine's Day book tag, but they feel like what Tamaki and Haruhi from Modern High School Host Club, Momo and Junchi feel like what Tamaki and Haruhi should have been. And that might be a little bit sacrilegious, but that's my opinion. I love Modern High School Host Club. I love Tamaki and Haruhi, but honestly, they're a little bit better. And the next prompt is Leap Year, One Ring to Rule Them All, the year for proposing, a book with your favorite couple. And for this one, I really had to go with, there were so many I could have gone with, but I really had to go with Have an Official's Blessing, because I can't shut up about them. 2, this has multiple of my favorite couples in it, even though one is like destined to doom. It's doomed. Even though in my headcanon they're not. So, Juliet and Hwa-chang in Have an Official's Blessing, like, they are perfection. Like, emotional maturity, because again, they're like centuries old. But emotional maturity, because they're centuries years old, and like communication, and if they have a miscommunication, it's talked about soon, and like they're adults about it. Like, this is what we need more of, and it's healthy, you know. And like Hwa-chang is like, and they're both Hwa-chang and Juliet and many of the other men in Have an Official's Blessing are like perfect examples of healthy masculinity. So my sons, when they're old enough, if I have any sons, my sons are gonna read that. They're like, for healthy masculinity, they're gonna read and watch Have an Official's Blessing. They're gonna read and watch The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. They're gonna grow up with healthy masculinity. Anyway, back on topic. Romeo, book, boyfriend, or favorite male character. Now this one is a combination of both, and plus there are quite a few within this book, but I'm just focusing on Belle from For Whom the Bell Tolls, and this is the deluxe edition. I still have the regular paperback. Well, not regular, I saw the paperback, but this is the deluxe hardback edition, which I still need to find a space for. But honestly, Belle in this, did I give you a description for Have an Official's Blessing? No, I did not. So pause on For Whom the Bell Tolls. Have an Official's Blessing, you're following Juliet, who has ascended for the 3rd time to godhood, which is pissed off a few gods, and to kind of repay his debt, he has had to basically go back to the mortal realm, the mortal plane layer, and figure out what exactly is going on with these violent ghosts and troublemaking spirits who have been preying upon the living. And he's gotten help from Selhung, who's just this mysterious person he met on a cart. Anyway, so back to For Whom the Bell Tolls, favorite book boyfriend or favorite male character: Belle, Greg, Asmodeus, Lucifer. Like Asmodeus, Azzy. We see Azzy a little bit in this, but like especially Azzy too. It's like he's probably one of my favorite male characters, because again, examples of healthy masculinity here, which I love. And we need more of that. So, For Whom the Bell Tolls, most definitely. And in that, you're following, let me grab it actually, in Heaven Official's Blood. In For Whom the Bell Tolls, we're following Lily, and she has passed away due to cancer, and she's expecting to go to hell because that's what religion's indoctrinated, especially Christianity, has indoctrinated into her, and kind of how she felt about herself as well. Yet she ends up in paradise, and she still ends up going down to hell, and to like explore it for like morbid curiosity. And she sets up a help desk there to help out some of the demons with the more obstructive souls who belong down there. So that's what For Whom the Bell Tolls is about, and it's the prequel book to For Whom the Bell, or not, it's the prequel book series. We're at least having a second book, and it's the prequel to the Help Desk series, the Hell's Bell series on TikTok by JC Lynn. And the next prompt, moving on, is Juliet, book girlfriend or favorite female character. This one is more so favorite female character, and I haven't talked about this book in a while, so I wanted to mention it again. And that is the Calic, I think I'm saying that correctly, the Calic in Bravely, and she's a goddess in Scottish Celtic mythology. But like her character in this is like I loved her so much when I read it. I need to reread it. But I loved her so much in this story. Like, it was so perfect. The way she was written in this. And just the way all of the characters were written in this. But, I loved the way all the characters were written in this. I love the way Maggie Stiefvater handles Merida and her character and the family. So this was just a really great pseudo sequel to Brave. And honestly, Merida is one of my favorite Disney princesses. I'm trying to be better about giving descriptions. So in this, you're following Merida, and essentially she's been told that her family has a year before, what is it, the Feradach? She has a year before he comes back to demolish Clandonbrach and her family, and she has a year to pull them out of the sameness that they've been in for a while. So that's that. And then the next prompt is love triangle, love it or hate it. I talked about it a little bit in the Valentine's Day book tag, but I usually hate love triangles, and like it's largely because more often than not, the one, I didn't explain it as well in the Valentine's Day book tag, but one, you usually know who the main character is going to end up with. Usually it's a female main character, an FMC, with two potential male main characters, MMCs. And usually you know who she's going to end up with. One. And two, like the love triangle, like, which is like my biggest issue with it. Love triangles don't usually add stuff to the story, which on the one hand can be okay. Not everything has to add something meaningful to the story, but it still should like add something, like it still should add to the story. Like it doesn't have to be super meaningful or super deep, but like it shouldn't be, something shouldn't be added just for the sake of adding it or just for the sake of having it. And like love triangles just annoy me. So it's like more often than not, they're just added for the sake of having a love triangle and getting more people in, especially when you know who they're gonna end up with. So the next prompt is Library Lovers Month. Now I was gonna phrase this one way, but then I was just like, you know what, let's phrase it another way for the prompt itself. And I have been trying to be better about using my local library, whether it's physical or using Libby or Hoopla. And honestly, we need to be using our local libraries more, especially considering our current government and our current administration. So let's try to use our local libraries, and February has been Library Lovers Month. so hence why this prompt is in here. But for this prompt is how far is your local library away from you? Now I have one that I've considered my local library because it's like basically within the city that I'm in, and that is 2 miles from me, a little over 2 miles from me. But I have another one that's about the same distance away from me in the other direction. So like, let's say my house is right here. I have one library that's my main library 2 miles this way, and then I have another library that's like 2 miles up here. So they're about the same distance away from me. So I have two, which is great. I mainly use the one, like, house is right here. I mainly use the one that's like 2 miles this way. But I have two that are 2 miles away from me, give or take. And then the next prompt is Winter's Ends, a book you'd like to read before winter's over. And for me, that would be The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And in this, you're following Bilbo, who's basically strong-armed into an adventure with a wizard and 13 dwarves to help reclaim the dwarves' homeland. And honestly, I love this. I try to read this once a year, so let's see if I can read it before the winter's over, before we get too far into March. And then the next prompt is Spring's Coming, your favorite spring read. So The Hobbit is another good one. I just recommend The Hobbit for any season, any time of the year, because it works for any time of the year. And then also The Lord of the Rings. I'm just showing the Fellowship of the Ring, just because my big editions for Lord of the Rings are a little too heavy, and then also I just don't want to hold all 3 Lord of the Rings books. Whoa, okay, we're fine. I don't want to hold all 3 Lord of the Rings books. But within Lord of the Rings, you're following Bilbo's nephew, adopted son / heir nephew, Frodo, and he ends up going on an adventure to destroy the One Ring of Sauron. So that's what this is about. And then, yeah, I love Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Those are books that I try to read once a year, and I just recommend them for any time of the year, and love them. And then the very last prompt is Flowers, a book with flowers on the cover, because we are nearing the end of spring, nearing the end of winter and going into spring. So like we'll start seeing flowers soon. And for me, the one I'm choosing is Heaven Official's Blessing, Volume 5. Has flowers on it right there and a bunch of petals everywhere. Also flowers on the back. So this is just Volume 5 of the Heaven Official's Blessing series, so I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to give spoilers. So yeah, that is the end of this book tag. I'm tagging anyone and everyone who wants to do it. Do it in a comment down below, or make your own video, or do your own post. I'd love to know what everyone's answers are. And if you've read any of these books, comment down below with what you think, or if you have any other recommendations, also leave those in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.